ACC Women's Basketball Tip-Off Day 2. I'm Kelsey Riggs alongside Kelly Gramlich, Coach Muffet McGraw, and Monica McNutt. We've got 6 coaches that we're talking to today. The remaining 6, we had the rest yesterday. One of them, Coach McGraw, is the team that's peppered all behind you. Are you ready to grill Notre Dame now that you're on this side of the camera with us?
I am so ready. I sent her a text today and I said, Neil, be ready. I'm going to be tough on you today. Be prepared.
Oh, we can't wait to see how that goes. It's going to be a fun conversation. We're also talking to student athletes. We've got the ACC Preseason Player of the Year on today. Lots to get to. We're with you for the next 2 hours. ACC Women's Basketball Tip-Off starts right now. Welcome into the ACC Network studios. We have got a lot to get to over the next 2 hours, so let's jump right into it. We want to show you what you can expect over the next few hours as you hang out with us here on Day 2 of ACC Women's Basketball Tip-Off. First up, our first group of coaches, Boston College, Louisville, and Syracuse. That's at 5:30. At 6 o'clock, we will be joined by Notre Dame, Pitt, and Wake Forest. And then at 6:30, we have got a stellar group of 7 athletes that are going to join us, including the ACC Preseason Player of the Year. She's from Louisville, and speaking of Louisville, I'll show you a little bit of how things went for them last season. They won their regular season conference title in each of the last 3 seasons, but last season was the first time they have won it outright. In Jeff Wall's 13 seasons as a head coach, he has 12 20-win seasons and 11 NCAA appearances. They averaged 27.7 wins per year since he took over back in 2007. And as mentioned, Dana Evans returns this year as the reigning ACC Player of the Year. Last season, she averaged 18 points per game while leading the conference in three-point shooting with 90 attempts made at an astonishing 43.1% three-point field goal percentage. So here is the ACC predicted order of finish for the preseason. Louisville coming in with 13 first-place votes. They are the #1 team. NC State, who of course won the ACC tournament last year, comes in at #2. So Kelly, when you see this predicted order of finish, what do you think? Is Louisville the best team in the conference?
Well, Kelsey, they got my vote. And, you know, I think it sounds a little crazy to some when I say I think Louisville is more talented than they are last year. And I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. What I think they're going to start, I think they're going to start 5 McDonald's All-Americans. Van Lith, Evans, Balagoon, Cochran, and Dixon. You know what 5 McDonald's All-Americans means for Jeff Walls? That's a Happy Meal right there. I think they got more talented, which is crazy.
You know, Kelly, I know they have talent, and I've seen it close up, and certainly with Dana Evans, they are the team to beat right now. But you got to look at NC State. They would have gotten my vote had I gotten one. But they are a team that returns 4 starters. They did lose their point guard, which is a key loss for them. But they have so much talent coming back, and I think they have a little more experience also.
Coach, I agree with you. I think NC State makes sense because of the experience, but we can't whiff on just how important last year's point guard was in Ace Koenig. But if Raina Perez, the transfer, is going to fill in those shoes, and if Kai Crutchfield, Jakia Brown-Turner, and Jada Boyd can all take that next step, then I think this will be closer than it looks when you look at the voting for that 1 and 2 spot.
I hear both of you guys, and I love the experience that NC State brings. That's what Louisville lacks, right? Losing Jasmine Jones and Kylie Shook and Yassine Diop. But I think they have more talent. I think Van Lith and Dana Evans together is going to be lethal. And watch Olivia Cochran. She has a WNBA mom, an NFL dad. I think she's ready to roll from the jump.
You know, you just never know with freshmen, and that is always the question mark. How will they be when the lights go on? And certainly they're not going to have that non-conference part of the schedule to really get the tune-up. It's going to be a little different going in. You're not going to have those games where you're getting ready for conference play. So they're going to have to grow up in a hurry.
Coach, you teed me up for that perfectly, because the next thing that we're going to talk about is the schedule, because it is a little different this year. We just got it for the first time this week, and here's what it'll look like. Each team will be a part of one of 3 possible regions and will play 20 conference games throughout the season. Those games will consist of a mix of regional and non-regional games, with the 2021 ACC tournament taking place in Greensboro. So it looks a little different with the 20 games in the 3 regions, but Coach, there are some similarities with it. What do you think about what they did with the schedule this year?
Well, I thought just a great idea, and certainly something that we had to do in the midst of the pandemic. Last year was the first year we went to 18 games, so we did look at the regional format a little bit last year. We played a lot of those teams twice that were in the North Pod. So now they've just extended it a little bit. We've had to add 2 more games, so going from 16 to 20 was kind of a big leap, but I think the smartest thing for the conference to do.
It's what you need to do during a pandemic, Coach. I'm 1,000% with you, but, from a player perspective, back in my day, which was only about 10 years ago or so, we only played 16 ACC games, and so the grind of 20, it can be tough, and these players are going to have to be ready for playing 20 ACC games. You got to stay healthy, and you got to stay mentally ready.
Yeah, it's tough.
The middle ground on that, though, Kel, is that the
season
in general is shortened. The season in general, though, is shortened. So, yes, ACC, there's going to be more ACC games. But, we all keep talking about the oddity of this year, not having the opportunity to prepare and scrimmage, and teams not really having an identity at this point. So I think all things considered, as I'm checking in with coaches and players, they're just excited to be here with the schedule and very hopeful that we can get to these games and through this season.
Yeah, no question. It's going to be a grind, though. Every single night you're playing a really good team, and there is nobody that you can look past when you have that type of schedule. I don't know where the buys are going to fall, if they're going to fall, but hopefully everybody can stay healthy. Let's just get through the season.
Fingers crossed. That is the most important thing. Is first and foremost, we want everybody to stay healthy and stay safe. And then we want to hopefully see some good basketball. So let's take a look at some of the games that we're definitely looking forward to in this 2020-2021 season. And here are some of the notable ones involving ACC teams. 8th-ranked NC State travels down to South Carolina. They're the #1 team in the country in the preseason on December 3rd. Also, 5th-ranked Louisville facing UConn the following day. That's a top 5 matchup, so those are certainly some big ones to keep an eye on. Monica, is there anything on these schedules when you were looking at it that really stuck out to you that you can't wait to see?
Obviously you think about NC State and South Carolina in terms of that #1 matchup in that region competing. But I gotta say, we talked a lot about 1 and 2 and Louisville and NC State in our preseason poll, but Syracuse at 3. I'm watching a lot of Syracuse's games because I think they've got enough talent on that roster to knock off one of those 1 and 2 teams. And so that first matchup we just saw with Syracuse was one that caught my eye.
They're going to be 4 great matchups. I know I'm looking forward to seeing every one of them. But when you look at the conference standings and you look at that 4 through 8, there is so much room to move in there. There are going to be some fantastic games. Teams vying to get that last playoff spot for the double bye in conference is so important.
I think NC State has a very good chance to prove something. In that early December game against South Carolina, they were only ranked 8th in the AP poll. I said that was a little bit of disrespect for them not being ranked higher, so they have a chance to prove something there. And Colonial Life, tough place to play, but with limited fans, that could be a big-time benefit for NC State as well.
How about, Kelly, some of the All-ACC matchups that we're looking at? Those were some of the ones with teams involving the top 25, but is there anybody that you're really looking forward to see just between the ACC teams?
Well, we heard Nell Fortner on our show yesterday talk about how she has to play at Notre Dame twice. So if they can pick up at least one of those wins, I think that's good for Georgia Tech. And then I love Duke, North Carolina, too. They play twice, but they also play the last day of the season, February 28th. That could be huge when it comes to seeding and NCAA tournament resume as well.
Everybody's going to be fighting for a spot in the tournament, and it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. You got to get in one of those top 8 spots. That's so important. You get the top 4 for the double bye. The next 4 are going to get at least another bye. And that's so important going into tournament because when you have to play 3 or 4 days in a row, the best team with the most depth is the one that's going to win.
I tell you what, just for all of the schedules, because of the way the pods shake out, that first 5 games, almost every ACC team, as I look back, is going to see a team in that first 5 twice already. So I think, to Coach's point in terms of the grind of this season, it's going to be really interesting to see who can adjust quickly and who can grow as a team in a short amount of time, because that could quickly be a sweep by a team that was more prepared than yours.
I'm circling January 17th right now. That's NC State at Louisville. I believe that's the first one, so that'll definitely be a good matchup between those two teams. Speaking of schedules, we've got a pretty good one here for you on ACC Women's Basketball Tip-Off. As mentioned, it starts with the coaches at 5:30. We will be joined by 3 coaches then, another 3 at 6 o'clock, and then we've got a handful of student athletes that we've got some fun questions for as well. Stay tuned right here with us on ACC Women's Basketball Tip-Off. Welcome back into ACC Women's Basketball Tip-Off. Some fresh news for you here. The Associated Press's 2020-2021 preseason All-American women's team was released earlier today. Louisville's Dana Evans made the list. Other ACC players also received votes, though, including NC State's Elisa Cunane and Syracuse's Tiana Monacahia. So as you take a look at that list, there is some ACC talent on there that is catching everyone's attention. Kelly, who is it coming back this year that's catching your attention from the ACC?
You know it's Dana Evans. We have to start with the preseason player of the year. And if you haven't seen it, go to her Twitter. She had an excellent video where they were naming the AP All-American team and she sank a 3 on the first try. But there's so many things that she does well. First and foremost, she can score 18 points per game. And to shoot 43% from 3 and make 90, that is absolutely insane. So I'm excited to watch her.
I'm excited to watch her, too. I think she's a terrific talent and somebody that is obviously coming in as the preseason favorite for Player of the Year. But for me, I'm looking at Syracuse's Tiana Monacahia. I tell you, she is just so fun to watch. Last year, Sabrina Ionescu drove everybody's TV ratings. She was somebody everybody wanted to watch. You're going to want to see this girl play. She is a double-double every night. She can get the assists. She can score. Coming back 2 years ago, she was the leading scorer for Syracuse, also led them in assists by a great 2-1 margin. And she is somebody that I'm counting on to come back strong after what an offseason she had, battling breast cancer and coming back now. What a great story. But she is a talent that I can't wait to see.
Both of those are fantastic selections, ladies, but I'm going to take my talents into the front court. And for me, it's Janelle Bailey at UNC. Yesterday, Coach Banghart told us that Janelle has worked on getting in better shape, which I think is going to be huge for this Tar Heel squad. She practically averaged just shy of a double-double last year at 14 points and 9.5 rebounds. I think if she can really anchor this squad and is getting up and down the floor and can defend those movable posts at her position, man, I think Janelle could have a really special year.
Those are all 3 really talented players. But, Coach, I think one of the things that's really special about this league is it really is a league where you can take your pick. There are so many returners that we could talk about this year.
You know, there really is. And I think we forgot to talk about Cunane. She is somebody that can really dominate. She's got the size. She's got the touch. She is a tremendous talent inside. Somebody that you're going to want to try to double team on the block. But she can face up as well, so she can be that double threat. She is somebody that had a great year last year. She needs to be ready to step up this year and be big in every single game.
Well, Coach, since we're tossing out folks that we forgot, I think Taylor Soule is another player who I'm really excited to see take the next leap. Last year, that Boston College squad was a little bit young, but now we know about Taylor and Boston College. Obviously, she's on that preseason conference team. If she takes the next step in her game, what could be happening for the Eagles?
Okay, so those are some players where we obviously know what we can expect from them, right? We've seen them on the court. It's proven. Coach, you'll probably be the first one to tell me you never know for sure what you're getting with the freshmen. But listen, with this group, 4 top 10 recruits in the 2020 ESPN Hoop Girls rankings for the ACC. 2 of them headed to Syracuse, 2 of them in the top 10 with Camila Cardosa and Priscilla Williams. So, Mon, when you look at this list of talent that we have of incoming freshmen, who is it that jumps off the page for you?
Man, there's so much to choose from this page. But I think I'm going to stick with the 10th ranked recruit there, Deja Kelly and North Carolina. They're in that very tough group of that 4 to 8 range that Coach McGraw was alluding to. Who's going to jump out? Can Deja Kelly help the Tar Heels do that?
Well, you know I want to go with my Irish and look at Madeline Westfeld. She is somebody that is very different than her sister Catherine, who had a great career for us. She is somebody that I think is going to be definitely in the running for Rookie of the Year. She can score in so many different ways, and at her size of 6'3", she's got a lot going for her.
The freshman I'm watching, y'all, is Haley Van Lith, and I'm so excited to ask Jeff Walz about this because I assume, and of course I don't know, but I assume Van Lith is going to play more of the point, and Dana Evans will play more off ball. Maybe they'll share duties, but Van Lith is an excellent passer. She can shoot it. She can score. And one thing I love about her and Dana together, one's a righty, one's a lefty. That's going to be such a dynamic duo, and you're going to kind of have to pick your poison defensively, right? Which one do you want to try to slow down?
Kelly, do you remember last year at one point we had to put together our top 5? I'm pretty sure you and I were in studio together, and I suggested Dana Evans off the ball.
Yes.
And the Louisville Cardinal fans tried to kill me on Twitter. But I actually think that that's a great point in terms of the options that Coach Walz will have.
With the way she shoots it, Mon, like it makes perfect sense, right? She's shooting nearly 45% from 3. Get her off the ball, get her spotting up. And I know Van Lith's going to be able to create for her. Dana can still run the point, and I think she can still really run it on the break. But specifically in your half-court sets, let Van Lith run it.
Well, it sounds like all of these teams are going to have a lot of options. They've got some returners. They've got some incoming freshmen that are talented. The other thing that definitely helps is when you get some good transfers. Here's a look at the notable ones joining the ACC this year. And Virginia Tech, NC State, Notre Dame, Pitt all welcome new players this year. The Seminoles actually welcome 2 new transfers this season with Tiana England and Aaron Howard joining the program. So, Coach, who is it when we talk about transfers that you're looking forward to seeing play in the ACC this year?
Well, it's got to be Perez for me. Coming from Fullerton, best player on the team out there, averaged 20 points a game. She just did it all for Cal State Fullerton, had a great 3 years there. Coming in now, I think she's the key to their team. That point guard position, for me, always the most important on the floor. If you can't get it done from the point, you are not going to win. So there's a little bit of pressure on her, but coming in at her age, I think she's got the experience and she's ready to go.
That's a great selection, and she's got big shoes to fill when you talk about Koenig. I'm going down to Florida State, though, with Tiana England. We know about the big 3 that Florida State lost last year, and England, to me, is a great combination of those 2 guards, Enikamu and Woolfolk. She brings an incredible experience out of St. John's from the Big East. She can get up and down the floor. She was one of the top assist leaders in the Big East Conference, and she also can score. So I think her leadership, combined with some of the quality experience that some of those juniors and sophomores got last year, really could buoy Florida State.
Mon, I love that point because I think grad transfers are so important. They can play right away and they have such experience. So I like England and FSU. And then Petra Holoshinska, I think I'm saying that right. I hope we're going to get better on that. And Stephanie Watts at North Carolina. Stephanie Watts, of course, transferred and came back. They're both older players who have a ton of experience, can both shoot the 3. So I'm excited to see both of them at North Carolina and mix them in with Janelle Bailey and, of course, Deja Kelly, the top 15 recruit.
Kelly, way to be the first one to take a stab at that. I think you did a fantastic job, and you're right. We will get good at saying that throughout this season, I'm sure. We're going to get good at talking about some of these new coaches that we have in the ACC this year, too. We've got 3 new faces on the sidelines. Is there anyone, Kelly, that you're looking forward to seeing? As we'll speak to some of them yesterday, actually. We already talked to Kara Lawson. We already talked to Brooke Wyckoff yesterday, who took over at Florida State. And then we will talk to Niele Ivey in just a little while. But, Kelly, for you, who are you looking forward to seeing coaching-wise, what they're able to do with their team?
Well, I think it starts with the 2 newcomers in Niele Ivey and Kara Lawson. Of course, Brooke Wyckoff counts as a newcomer-ish. She's been in the league for a while. I think Coach has a lot to say about Niele, I'm sure. But I think Kara Lawson, you know, she raises the profile for the ACC. It's already a very high-profile league. But as we talked about yesterday, look, Kara Lawson is a huge name in just basketball and the sports world. So I'm very excited to see what she can do at Duke. They lost some seniors. They lost a lot of production. So she's going to have her work cut out for her.
She definitely has her work cut out for her, but I think that she is just the person. What a great hire for her. And another great hire, of course, is Niele Ivey. She is somebody that has been with our program through all 9 Final Fours, 2 as a player, 7 as a coach. She knows what it takes to get there. She's got the energy and the exciting feeling. She is just so ready for this moment. And I am so thrilled for her because she is going to be fantastic.
All right, so I'm going to try to rattle off 3 coaches in particular because you guys took the top 2. I think everybody is watching. I'm looking at Coach Fortner, Coach Banghart. Both of them had solid first years as first-year coaches in this league. How do they take the step forward, particularly Georgia Tech coming off that 20-win season? And then I'm looking at Coach Hillsman. We're more accustomed to seeing Syracuse kind of work their way into the rankings as the season goes along. But they're starting off the year. People know about all the talent and the recruiting class he has up in Syracuse.
Coach, I know you're not a part of it this year because we're lucky enough to have you sitting here with us, but this 2020 offseason, as we heard from coaches yesterday, is so different when you're trying to get to know your team for the first time for a lot of them. What do you think some of the challenges that they are going through right now as we're just less than two weeks away from tip-off?
You know, I think you hit the nail on the head yesterday, Kelsey, when you asked about how do you even know your team yet? How do you know who's the go-to player? Who's the one that we're going to be able to count on in the critical situations, which are going to happen? Who do you want to have the ball when the shot clock's running down or the game is on the line? Normally, you have those non-conference games to feel all that out. You've got some exhibition games. You're bringing referees in to practice. You're doing a lot of different things. And now it's a question of who's going to be at practice? Am I going to have 10 healthy bodies? Who's out? You just get a turned ankle or something goes wrong, and all of a sudden you've got a whole different squad out there. So really trying to know your team and have them ready for conference play, that's going to be a huge challenge for everybody this year.
It's a great point, Coach, and I'm sure you're not exactly envious of having to deal with some of these challenges that have really never been in college basketball. One more coach I want to throw out there because she was kind of the darling of the league a couple of years ago, and last year they had a tough year. Amanda Butler at Clemson. She led Clemson to the NCAA tournament. They won a game in the tournament. She lost a lot of seniors. Can they get back? Can they compete? I'm really watching Coach Butler because I think she's so well respected around the basketball community, and I want to see if she can get Clemson back in that hunt.
That's a great point, Kelly. And we talked about newcomers. And Delicia Washington is a grad student back at Clemson. She actually won Rookie of the Year, or was co-Rookie of the Year, I believe, in the SEC when Coach Butler was at Florida. And so they've been able to reunite. What does that look like? I'm with you. I think that that's going to be a great point and a great story to watch.
I'm looking forward to seeing everybody play this year. I think all of the coaches. So we will just have to wait and see what happens.
Hard to believe that we are just around the corner from that. Fingers crossed that things continue to go well as we get ready for November 25th. When we come back, we're going to talk to some of these coaches about what they're looking forward to, who has stood out to them so far, and what we can expect from their squads. When we come back, we'll have Boston College, Louisville, and Syracuse with us. Jeff Walz all mic'd up, sitting down, ready to go when we come back. Welcome back into ACC women's basketball. Tip-off Louisville. The ACC champs from last year. They won the regular season outright for the first time. 3rd year in a row, though, they had a piece of that regular season title. We are joined now by their head coach, Jeff Walz, as well as Quentin Hillsman and Joanna Burnaby-McNamee. Coaches, thanks so much for the time. What we're going to do is we're going to start this off with a 30-second shot clock. And all you have to do, give me 30 seconds, your pitch. What do we need to know about your team? Coach Walz, will come to you first. 30 seconds. What do we need to know about the Cardinals?
Well, I think for us, we're very fortunate to be returning the ACC Player of the Year. But at the same time, we have a lot of new faces. It's been a really good summer and fall for us. Practice has gone extremely well. We are going to miss Kylie Shook in the middle as our rim protector and shot blocker, but really excited for our new players, Kiana Smith, who sat out last year, and our ability to score the basketball.
Coach Mack, I know you've got a lot of your scorers back this year. What can we expect from the Eagles?
Well, the good thing is we're 2 years older from when I first took the job, so it's not like I'm working with a group of freshmen. So we have that maturity going on for us and a good culture. We return Taylor Soule, who is the most improved player, and if she improved from freshman and sophomore year, it's even then some from sophomore to junior year. I think we have a talented backcourt with a lot of our scoring returning. We're going to miss Emma Guy, but inside, Clara Ford, a junior, is really working hard. So I'm excited to see what they put together. And our intensity and like that little chip on our shoulder, I think, won't leave.
You guys are great with that shot clock. Coach Q, you're up next. I know we're going to be talking to you a lot about the freshmen. What do we need to know about the whole team?
I'm happy to be playing basketball. I'm happy to be practicing. I'm happy to be back at the gym, and it's fun to compete right now. But we obviously returning Tiana is big for us. With Tiana and Kiki in the backcourt, we're gonna be okay there. And we have a lot of young talent that's come in. They're picking up what we do right away, and hopefully they can step in and continue to do what they're doing now and make a big impact for us.
Coach Q, I love the "we're going to be okay" with Tiana and Kiera Lewis back there. That was excellent. Let's start with Coach Walls here. Coach, you bring in Haley Van Lith and, of course, Dana Evans, reigning Player of the Year, first-team All-American, all that. So tell me some about your backcourt, right? Is Van Lith going to run more of the point? Is Dana going to play more off-ball? Is that still a work in progress? How are those two going to mesh together?
Well, it's really not just those two. Kiana Smith played the point for 2 years at Cal. So we're going to have 3 kids on the floor at a time that can all be the point. So we're not necessarily concerned about who's bringing the basketball up the floor. We're going to be able to outlet to either side of the floor. Our guards are actually doing a really nice job of rebounding the ball right now at the defensive end of the floor, so we'll be able to rebound and go. It's been a really good fall so far, and as we all know, Dana Evans does shoot the ball extremely well from the three-point line, so we will get her off the ball at times. But at the same purpose, Haley Van Lith, Kiana Smith, Alana Smith, Elizabeth Balagoon, this is probably the best three-point shooting team we've had since I've been here at Louisville.
Well, it's all about the guards for me, as it always has been. And, Jeff, you have some kind of backcourt, some great decisions you're going to be making. But Syracuse, I love Q. I love your, first of all, your best-dressed coach in the league, on the men's side anyway. But you also have some really great guards. So same question for you. Will you play them together? Will you play 2 point guards at the same time?
It's no question. We have to. With those two on the floor, it's going to be the same as Jeff said. We're going to be the outlets on both sides of the floor. And with Tiana back, obviously, we want to keep the ball in our hands as much as we can. But Kiki played the point for us all last year. I thought she gained some great experience doing that. So, yeah, we're gonna play them both together as much as we can.
Coach Mack, obviously we've talked a lot about guards play amongst the coaches, but I'm actually curious. You guys lost Emma Guy, who was huge to the success that you had last year. You've got those 5 juniors, but you've got a sophomore in 6'2", Akuna Konkwo, who is healthy. What do you see in terms of replacing Emma's presence from last year?
Yeah, I definitely think Emma's going to be a really tough player to replace, but it's more, can people step up to that challenge, because we are an inside-out flowing offense. So Akuna has definitely been working hard, and like I had mentioned earlier, our junior in Clara Ford has come along, and she's been with us, kind of growing under Emma and having to battle Emma for the last 2 years. So I'm anxious to see how those two progress, but our backcourt is definitely in tune to getting them the ball and throwing it inside out. So I think that their presence inside is still going to be felt.
Coach Q, I spent some time this morning watching some Camila Cardoso film, and I swear she looked like Zion Williamson playing against high school kids at 6'7". It was pretty unbelievable. So tell us more about your freshman class. 4th in the country. That's incredible. I know Cardoso, Priscilla Williams. What do you expect from these freshmen?
Well, they're going to step in and help us. I mean, that's what we were missing last year. We were missing our depth and our pace and our speed, and they'll be able to come in and play minutes for us right away. And that's what's big for us. We're going to be able to have some depth. We're going to be able to play fast up the floor. We're going to toss the ball ahead early. And Carmilla runs from rim to rim just as good as anybody that we had in this program. So we're excited for her to be able to get in this pace and get up and down.
Jeff, the rhythm of this season looks a little bit different. I know I used to do things in non-conference to kind of get ready for conference. And is your preparation been any different, looking ahead and saying, I've only got 4 or maybe 5 non-conference games? Is that going to change anything for you? Will you simplify things at all?
You know, that's a great point. I mean, for us, to be honest, we have had our kids on campus since June. And we've been very fortunate, and our players have done a great job managing the coronavirus and all the logistics that go with that. We're actually further along right now than we've ever been. You know, as I've told the players, the biggest challenge for them, especially your young players, is the fact that you don't have your 7 or 8 games in conference, a game here or there that may be a bye game to get some players some experience. We're on the road at Middle Tennessee State, our first game, and then we're at Cincinnati, our second game. Both of them are very talented and well coached. So you're getting thrown into the fire and you're going to have to produce from day one. So we're not necessarily going to change what we do, but I think it's going to be a lot more thrown at our players once we start the season, especially without any exhibition games or scrimmages.
Coach Q, you said right off the beginning that you were just so happy to be back playing basketball again. I know we are also happy to be here talking basketball again. Coach Mack, if you could, what was it like the first day that you guys finally got back in the building and back into the gym with your players? What was that like?
It was relieving, exciting. You know, we had a hard time. You know, at that point, we were still not supposed to be hugging each other. And it was really just an emotional time for us because we had missed each other. Unlike what Jeff was saying, we didn't get our players back until September. So just to be back on the court together, we had just truly missed each other. And, you know, we're grateful. And I think that's why we've had such great practices leading up to now, is because we're just thankful every day to be able to be playing in the sport we love and being able to interact and being face-to-face with each other.
We can relate to that, Coach Mack. As a ladies' night squad here on ACCN, we're grateful to be here, too. We've missed each other, there's no doubt. Coach Walls, I want to ask you about the Elizabeths. Elizabeth Balagoon and Elizabeth Dixon. We know what they did as freshmen, and both of them dealt with maybe some injuries last year, and we're still kind of finding their role in the program. I'm assuming you're expecting some big years from the 2 Elizabeths, as I like to call them.
Yeah, they've both had very good springs and summers and have been performing well in practice. It's always an adjustment when you change a program, change a style of play. And then, you know, I've always said it, that, you know, they went from being two of the better players on their team their freshman year to where now all of a sudden they're competing in practice every single day with players that are as good, if not better, in some areas. So I think it was an adjustment for them that sophomore year, but I've really seen a lot of growth, especially emotionally, from Elizabeth Balagoon. She doesn't get quite as upset if a shot doesn't go in or if something doesn't go her way. She just moves on to the next play. And Liz Dixon has really worked hard in the offseason on finishing around the basket, her lateral quickness. So I'm excited for both of them. You know, after you get that first year under your belt, I think it's a lot easier.
I'm going to take it away from the court just a little bit. And, of course, I want to applaud you all as leaders of young women in a very challenging time, whether it was COVID, whether it was some difficult conversations prompted by events that happened this summer regarding social injustices in our country. The feeling seems to be that teams have been able to draw closer behind all of this stuff and the conversations that they were forced to have. How proud are you, or are you proud of your girls for what they were able to do this summer away from the court, Coach Q?
Yes, definitely. I think that doing all this, we've had some players step up and speak and take some leadership roles in some different areas that we just haven't seen before. And we saw some different passions come out during this time. We've definitely seen our team get closer. We've been able to kind of fight towards a common goal and trying to, just to be better people. And that's what we talk about, just being better people. We may not can solve all the problems, but we know we can be better people and be better for our community.
I guess we want to open that up to each of you because I'm sure you're proud of the work that your programs have done. So Coach Mack and then Coach Walls, you can follow Coach Mack because you guys were in Louisville, which was an area that the entire country was looking at.
Right, for us, I know I was really proud of our program and our players, just being able to have that vulnerable intimacy and conversation, and them really educating me and letting us know each other how everyone felt, you know, and getting kind of, we always say, like, family doesn't have to be blood. Family is, you know, who you're with, and we are an extended family, and they really had to open up, and I thought that our Zooms allowed them to have that platform. But then where I was really proud of each of our players is taking their athleticism and what they have as an ACC player and using that platform to really advocate for change and get themselves out there. And then Boston College, as an athletic department, has really done a great job. And Clara Ford and Taylor Stoll are both on our DEI committees, and they're on SAC, and they're doing good things within the community here at Boston College. But then each of them also did a lot of advocating in their hometowns. So I was extremely proud, and I was extremely blessed to have them educate me and bring me up to speed on everything that I needed to do to help them and fight for change.
Yeah, you know what? As you said, Monica, we are right here in the middle of it at Louisville. You know, we have always addressed difficult situations head on within our women's basketball program. We don't shy away from any conversations. You know, after the first week of the Breonna Taylor situation, we had a Zoom call with some of our LMPD officers. We're very fortunate and blessed to have a lot of them that work our games, and our players know them intimately. They're friends with a lot of them. And it was a difficult Zoom call, but one that I thought was needed because our players had the opportunity to ask questions, learn about protocols and the importance of voting, the importance of not just voting for your president, but your local judges. Your mayors, your governors, things that, you know, you may have taken for granted, and then we learned a ton from that. And then, you know, we have talked about having a voice, but also having action behind it. You know, slogans are great, but at the end of the day, we have to have action that will make change. I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful staff, and our team right now, we have adopted in the elementary school in our West End to try to make a difference so our players can tell their stories, give kids hope and ideas of what they can do to get to where they are right now, not just as basketball people, but as young women.
Well, I hope we can keep that conversation going across all of our teams and our platforms. And certainly we need to stand up and be anti-racist. Before I let you go, Joanne, I got to ask the question I've been dying to know, because when I looked at that schedule, you absolutely have the toughest road. You have, of course, the two gentlemen on either side of you to contend with all year. But you add into that mix, you got Notre Dame twice and NC State. I'm not sure what happened. I know you're an incredibly positive person. How are you going to spin this one?
Well, like I say, you know, I think I learned this back in the day. If you either want to play with the big dogs or you stay on the porch, right? So we've got to be willing to go out and show what we're made of, and having this challenging schedule is a great opportunity. And each of our players came to play in the ACC for those kind of games. So we're going to embrace it, and we're excited about it.
Coach Q, Coach McGraw earlier mentioned the style that you have, and of course your outfits and things of that nature. I have to know, and I've been wondering this, I know your first fit is going to be fire, there's no doubt, but how are the masks looking? I'm assuming you have some pretty awesome masks ready to roll.
Got to. If we got to win, we got to do it right. So I'm gonna send Jeff 5, let him try them out first and see how it works with those button ups, and I'm gonna do the other 15 and see how it works.
Coach, we know it's going to look good. Another thing that we know is going to look good from your team is seeing Tiana back on the court. And we know what she means to this program after the battle that she went through last year. But what can we expect to see from her this year?
Much of the same. She's really good right now. She's playing hard. She's playing aggressive, and I think that's what I was most worried about. When she come back and still have confidence, and she's very confident in her game. I think sitting out last year allowed her to see some things, and she actually told me that I was right a couple times after sitting out and watching basketball for a year. But I'm sure that's going to go away in about another 12 days. I'll be wrong again real soon, but we're blessed and fortunate to have her back, but more importantly, we're blessed to have her healthy.
Jeff, you mentioned a couple of those non-conference games, but I saw that the UConn game in December is going to be one circled on a lot of people's calendars. That's a great game to play early on. I think you've never shied away from playing good teams. It's going to tell you a lot about your team, but as we talked earlier, after only 3 conference games, that's going to be a tough matchup. How's it looking?
No, I mean, we're excited about it. Our players are excited about it also. You know, it just kind of worked out when the ACC Big Ten Challenge got canceled. That game presented itself right there in that same calendar space. And it's an opportunity for us. We enjoy that game, the opportunity for us to see where we are at that point in time. But we know that, you know, all of a sudden, December the 10th, once we start up with ACC play, we're at Duke on the 10th and then back at Duke on the 31st. So we'll get a taste real quick of how good we're going to be once we start up our conference play, because I think our league is even better than last year from top to bottom.
Coach Mack, I've been dying to ask you this question, okay? And, you know, BC, at least when I was playing, and I guess maybe the last 20 years since they've been in the league, they haven't exactly been winning 20 games and things like that consistently. So what is it about you? Why are you the one that, in my opinion, has turned BC around?
Well, first of all, that's crazy talk. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with us bringing together great players with high character. I have an amazing staff, and I'm lucky that everybody's just bought in and willing to work hard. So honestly, Kelly, it has nothing to do with the way with me, but it is the way I think our culture is. And I think this Boston College itself breeds a high character and, you know, of student athlete that comes in to play at Boston College. But then on top of that, I have an amazing coaching staff that pour themselves into our players. And on top of that, I think I have the nicest group of student athletes that I try to talk into being killers every day. So that's the goal. And I know that the guys on my left and right are trying to get the same thing out of their ladies.
We talked a lot about the schedule, Coach Q, but in that first 5 games, considering the oddity of this year, I'm curious, at what point do you guys feel like you'll start to find the rhythm of your squad, especially since kind of the heat of the schedule is right into conference play? Like, at what point in the year do you guys think you'll start to find it?
It's gonna have to be right away. You don't have a lot of time. I think that your preseason is gonna be really important. I think your health going into your first 5 or 6 games is going to be important. So in my opinion, I just think that you got to be ready to go from day one. And that's our goal, is to be playing our best basketball in the first minute of our season.
Coaches, we want to thank you so much for your time and your insight, and we are certainly looking forward to seeing you all on the courts with your teams in less than 2 weeks. Thanks for the time.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much.
So those coaches are done, but we are still just getting started. In a second, you will see Muffin McGraw and Neil Ivey going head to head.
Hi, this is Neil Ivey, head coach of Notre Dame women's basketball. Just want to give a shout out to all the men and women who have served our country and to the active men and women in the military. Thank you so much for your sacrifice and keeping our country safe. Also want to give a special shout out to my Uncle Johnny, who served with the Air Force as a Master Sergeant. Love you. Thank you. Happy Veterans Day.
Welcome back into ACC Women's Basketball Tip-Off. This weekend, we've got some football talk for you. Live reports from North Carolina and Virginia Tech to get you all set for noon kickoff. The Huddle Crew breaks down the Red Bandana game, a classic between Notre Dame and Boston College. Can the Eagles pull off the upset? If you look back at 1993, it could definitely happen. Plus, football cheers or golf claps. Which Huddle member is the best golfer? That is no doubt going to be a heated debate coming up at 10 a.m. Eastern on Saturday morning. And we are not done yet with day 2 of ACC Women's Basketball Tip-Off, but just in case you missed yesterday, we wanted to give you a little look at some of the best moments.
Listen, I did have an opportunity to breathe, Kels, but you know if I have to sacrifice breathing, I'm going to do it for you guys. I'm pumped to be back with the squad.
My point guard, Kiera Fletcher, is back along with Mai Lottenden from Finland. So I feel good about that experience, but I'm getting gray hairs over my freshmen. But I like them, but I'm getting a lot of gray hairs about them. But we're excited to get the season started.
2020 offseason, I know, has looked very different for everyone. What's been the biggest challenge for you as you tried to get this team ready?
And my biggest, worry and concern all year long has been the mental well-being of our kids. We know we can get them in shape, and, basketball is an escape for them. But they're also dealing with situations in our country with the unrest of social issues and just the COVID situation. So many things have been going on with them, and you just feel sorry for them because this is not what they dreamed about college being.
Anytime you're taking over a program and trying to install a new system, it's like you have a full team of freshmen because they're all learning what you want for the first time. They're learning new vocabulary, they're learning new schemes. They're learning your systems, how you want to attack, how you want to defend. And so I've just been pleased with our players and their buy-in and their willingness to be coached and their willingness to try and learn what my staff and I are teaching. So we're excited for the season.
Coach Fortner, this is actually going to be for you because you used to sit where we sit for a little while. And I'm wondering if you have any advice for Coach.
Take advantage of any makeup chair that you get to sit in because that's really fun. I used to call it the princess chair.
Coach, I hope you got the makeup chair today because, you look great. You didn't need it yesterday, but hey, 6:30, we've got the student athletes coming our way in just a little while, but at 6 o'clock we will be joined by Notre Dame, Pitt, and Wake Forest. So let's talk keys to success. There's never one thing that makes a season go right or wrong. Sometimes there's a lot of things that it takes to make it go the way that you want. And Coach, let's talk first about North Carolina and Courtney Banghart's squad. What is it going to take for them, the keys to success this year?
Well, I think I look at North Carolina as a team. They lost a lot from last year. They lost 4 of their top 6 scorers, but they had some injuries, a little bit of a disappointing finish to their season, but credit the injuries for that. But look at what they've got coming back. Bailey is healthy. She's ready to go. They've got the post game. They've got the inside game. They've got a grad transfer from Illinois, Petra Holosinka, who is going to add something in terms of maturity. They've got Stephanie Watts back. She was out at USC for a year older. She is a great three-point shooter, and she's got some size. She can shoot over you. My question will be, what's going to happen at the point guard position? Deja Kelly coming in, an extremely talented freshman, but she is a freshman. Who's going to run the team?
That's a good point, Coach. They have to replace Shayla Bennett. I think she was one of the unheralded stars for them last year. She did so much for them. And Taylor Coonan, who was their senior and kind of their glue player. But you know what? I believe in Courtney Banghart a lot. I think she is a rising star in this league. And remember when she said yesterday she couldn't pick her starting 5. That means you've got some depth.
Well, as we talk about UNC, guys, Malu Tshenge, remember, she made that rookie team last year as a freshman. She takes the next step in her game. She's 6'3". She's a fantastic rebounder. She's a high-energy player. No, she's not a Shayla Bennett at the point guard position, but I think if she can relieve some of the pressure off of Janelle Bailey, and if Holoshinka can shoot as well as Conan did in terms of stretching the floor, this team can return back to form when they were winning last year.
Speaking of Janelle Bailey, Mon, she's going to join us at 6:30 with that group of student athletes, so we'll see what she thinks maybe their keys to success are. But, Mon, what about Virginia Tech? What are we going to need to see from this Virginia Tech team this year?
Well, I think Asia Shepherd and Elizabeth Kitley are obviously the major keys for this squad. When you look at what they lost, they lose Ataja Cole last year, and Dara Mabry obviously transfers out. I think you look at someone like Trinity Baptiste and Lydia Rivers, guys who played quality minutes but didn't necessarily fill up the scoring column for Coach Brooks' group. This team shot the 3-ball well, and they rebounded defensively well. I think if they can give themselves more opportunities on the offensive glass, then they can close the gap.
Mon, that's a good point. I'm a little worried about Virginia Tech. I hate to say that because I love Asia Shepherd and Liz Kitley. But beyond those two, I'm worried about their production and how they're going to score. I think that those two are going to have a great two-man game. Asia Shepherd can absolutely light it up, but they have so many young players and so many freshmen coming in. You need more than 2 people in double figures. So that's my main concern for Virginia Tech. They have to have a third scorer in double figures.
You know, I think two people can carry a team, and if they're the right two, and those two certainly have the talent, I think they're going to be fine on offense. They're going to be great in the pick and roll together. My question is, can they defend?
Virginia Tech was picked 7th in the preseason poll by the coaches. A team that's just 2 spots ahead of them in the polls is Georgia Tech. Kelly, what do you like about this Georgia Tech team?
Why are y'all giving me the defensive team? Okay, I'll do my best here. They can defend, Coach McGraw. We know Georgia Tech can defend. And that's why, they lost a lot of people from last year. Francesca Pond is gone, and we all love what she brought to Tech. But with Lottman back and Fletcher, I like those 2 guards. Morella Kubai is not afraid to elbow you in the face. We know that about Kubai. She's super physical. So Georgia Tech can defend as their offense progresses. And so it all starts for GT at the top with defense.
No question about it. They can come full court. They can really get up and guard the ball. I think they've got tremendous talent on the defensive side of the ball. The question is, who's going to replace Pond? She was a terrific three-point shooter. She could stretch the defense where a lot of them are going to be trying to drive the ball. And if you pack up that zone and sit back, I don't know how they're going to shoot the ball.
Yeah, shooting is really at the heart of this story for Georgia Tech in terms of what they're going to be able to do offensively. Kiera Fletcher has to be a threat coming off of those screens. And yesterday, she told us that she's really been working on that part of her game. But I'm really cued in on those 2 freshmen that Coach Fortner mentioned when she was talking to us, Avance Carter and Loyal McQueen. If they can fill in and just hit timely baskets, I'm not asking them to be Pond from behind the arc, but if they can hit timely baskets and keep the defenses honest, then Kiera Fletcher has a little bit more room to work off that screen.
Yeah, Mon, they had 4 recruits in the top 100. I love Nell Fortner telling us they're giving her gray hairs, waiting to see how they pan out. We are waiting to see what our next guests have to say. And one of them is someone that Coach Muffet McGraw knows very well. Niele Ivey joins us next, along with Pitt and Wake Forest when we return.
The Fighting Irish? Yeah, that's who we are. And that's who we'll always be. But this year, a whole new chapter unfolds. This is where we build great habits. This is where we work together and exude confidence. And this is where we get better every single day. To be competitive in all aspects of life, it's about having toughness, swagger, built into your DNA. It's the Irish way in the Ivy era.
Welcome back into ACC Women's Basketball Tip-Off. Here's a look at the longest tenured coaches in the ACC through last season. Our very own Muffet McGraw lucked 33 seasons at Notre Dame, followed by Sue Simrau at 23. Of the top 6 on this list, only 3 will be returning for the 2020-2021 season. One of the coaches who is taking over is Niele Ivey. She is now the head coach for the Irish. We are joined by her now, as well as Lance White from Pitt and Jennifer Hoover from Wake Forest. So, coaches, thanks so much for the time. What we're going to do is put 30 seconds on the clock, and I want your elevator pitch of what we need to know about your team this year. Coach Ivey, you're up first.
Okay, well, super excited about my team this year. We have a lot of depth, so more depth than last year. I have a great recruiting class coming in. Our freshman class is amazing. Just, some great returners, a lot of good energy, sharp shooters, and just, excited to get after it. Oh, I got more time.
You didn't even, that's okay. You summed it up in 15. That's perfect. We didn't even need the buzzer beater there. Coach White, how about you? You're getting ready for your 3rd season. What do we need to know about Pitt?
Well, I think we are another year experience with more experience. I'm really excited about our backcourt. We added a couple of really good new players, a couple of transfers that I think will really help us. But it all starts with Daishanette Harris and her ability to move us at a faster tempo. But we have some depth, and that's going to be fun to watch. I think we've got a couple of big kids that are going to do great things. But I'm really excited about our overall team chemistry, how hard they've worked to put themselves in position to play this year. So that's what we got going on at Pitt.
Daishanette Harris is going to join us in a little while. We'll see if she has any good stories about you. Coach Hoover, how about your team? What do we need to know about Wake Forest?
Well, this team's exciting. I look forward to going to practice every day with them. There's just so much energy. They feel like there's unfinished business from last year, and then our newcomers have just uplifted our competitiveness every day in practice. And so we've got some veterans coming back who've started 3 to 4 years, going into their 4th year for us and running the team. And we've got some new energy and some new depth. And we compete, and we're going to compete hard every day. And I think we saw the results of what happens when the Deeks come out ready to go every night.
We're looking forward to seeing that in just a couple of weeks. And before we get started, we've got a lot of questions for everyone. But Coach McGraw, I've got to turn it over to you now because the tables are flipped and you're sitting on this side looking at another Notre Dame head coach.
Well, I wasn't surprised at all that the shot clock had 15 seconds left because Neil was always going to get that shot up pretty quickly. We're going to score a lot of points. But, I couldn't be happier and prouder of anyone right now. And one of the things I've admired about you, Neil, is your intellectual curiosity. You've always been such a student of the game. 2 years ago, we went up and spent some time with Brad Stevens. But last year, you got a whole year in the NBA with the Memphis Grizzlies. Tell us a little bit about what you learned down there.
I learned so much. I'm just super blessed. First of all, to have learned from you. I want to say that initially. But in Memphis, I learned about culture. I learned entire, new offensive scheme, new defensive scheme. I learned about just managing staffs. I feel like I learned so much in a short amount of time, and just learning from a really bright head coach in Taylor Jenkins with the Grizzlies. I learned, obviously, from on the men's side, the most elite league. It's so incredible, so much the information that I learned on a daily basis. So, from practices, scout, shoot arounds, there was so many things that I learned, but I just learned the game from a different perspective. And so that's what I've taken away from that experience.
Well, speaking of mentors, I want to talk to you, Coach White, because I know you were an assistant under Sue Simrau at Florida State for, I believe, 15 seasons. And, of course, we wish the best to Coach Simrau as she deals with personal issues this season. But, Coach, what did you learn from Sue Simrau, and how are you applying that to your head coaching job there at Pittsburgh?
Well, obviously, I wouldn't be here, without, working for Sue for those 15 years at Florida State. And and I've got so much respect for her and her leadership style and, and the way she develops chemistry. I don't think there's anyone in the country who can develop chemistry better than she does. And but my thoughts and prayers are with her and her family during this time. And it's going to be so weird to go to Tallahassee and her not be on the sideline this season.
Coach Hoover, when we look at your group and who you return in Gina Conti and Ivana Raza, those are young women that we know what they're capable of when they're locked in. But who are you looking to from your roster to be, 3 and 4, options C and D on that squad?
Well, I think last year Christina Moore really came on as the season developed throughout the ACC in particular and really became a force to reckon with inside. We're really excited about what she's done in the offseason, her commitment to the game and to her overall health. She's doing a great job. We have a freshman class that we really think will come in and help, some added athleticism, added quickness at the guard spot with Jewel Spear, a big scorer out of Texas. And then Neve Brown, a local kid here from Charlotte, who's also going to be one of the best athletes to ever wear a Demon Deacon uniform. So, we got some other returners. Alex Scruggs kind of got on the scene last year a little bit. Most people don't know she played all season at about 65%. She was injured and just fought through and was a warrior for us. So we're excited to see her fresh.
Coach Ivey, I want to go back to you because we played a little hype video before this about Notre Dame. And, of course, anyone who knows women's basketball knows Notre Dame. Last year was not the kind of season we expect from the Irish. Is it safe to say there's a little chip on the shoulder with the Irish this year?
You know what? Absolutely. I think that they learned, a very tough lesson as far as just going through a lot of adversity last year. We had some injured players. And so my returners, they have put in the work, even in quarantine. They've come back refreshed. Having that experience, they know how hard to work and they know what it takes, to rise to the occasion. And I just feel like you said, they have a chip on their shoulders. They're working really hard. And their goal is every day is to bring, a phenomenal amount of energy and to get better every day. But, I'm super excited about our returners and, again, our newcomers. And with the addition of Dara, I'm super excited.
Well, I got to say, I got a chip on my shoulder, and I'm not even there, but I'm going to be there watching. Lance, turn it over to you. You're an upperclassman now. You got those first 2 seasons out of the way, and now how's it looking for you?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And, and last year we had to rely on a group of freshmen that had to come in and take their lumps and really learn. And, and now as sophomores, it's so fun to be able to, talk and practice, and now they remember things, and that now they have the ability to have a little bit of maturity and to know what it takes day in, day out, and what's coming. Last year they had no idea what was coming, and we had to try as coaches to tell them, but they had no idea. Now they know. Now they know how hard they have to work, and they're ready to compete. But we have many more options, which is going to be really fun. I think the kids that we brought in, and again, we still have 10 freshmen and sophomores, but it's going to be fun to watch those kids go out there and battle, and they're competing really hard.
It's funny, I was just thinking, and I was like, we've got 2 alums that are now head coaches at their respective programs, and Coach Hoover and now Neil obviously taking over at the helm, which is super cool. But I do want to ask you guys about a big piece of the 2020 storylines here in the U.S. has been, the social injustice movements, the protests, so on and so forth over this summer. I'm sure that you have had some challenging conversations with your squads, but I would like to believe that it's probably pushed you guys further and made you closer in more ways than just playing basketball. Coach Hoover, I'll start with you. What kind of talks did you guys have, and how has it moved the squad?
Well, our kids, I deal with some phenomenal kids, and I think it's made us even closer. And our team will tell you we're a family, and in families, you've got to have difficult conversations. And here at Wake Forest, we believe in empowering our student athletes to use their voices and to listen and to hear each other and to fight for what we believe in and be passionate about it. And, we had a ton of Zoom calls, and they were just great. We had a lot of guest speakers. And we just really dove into educating each other, listening, and just really understanding everyone's perspective of what and how they've experienced both racial and social injustices and what was going on in the world. And there was a lot of emotional, but I think that's what brings the team closer together.
Yeah, for sure. Coach White, you are on this panel, you're the male head coach, which is another piece of this puzzle. In addition to all of those things, is the devastation of COVID, particularly for young women. So how have you been communicating with your squad and making sure that their spirits are lifted and that they are able to find some sort of silver lining and a way to grow through all of this?
Well, I felt so horrible for our players. And again, COVID, no one could think of what that does to them and any part of their college experience. And, and that's really been difficult for from a freshman to the other sophomores who have had a little bit of a taste of it to now you're quarantined, you're isolated. And that's been our biggest mission is, number one, to be resilient. And number two is how do we reach out and help each other through that? And so communication has been one of our major keys of just how we try to, as safely as possible, still connect and make sure that all of our players' needs or mental health is taken care of. And because it's been so challenging for them as young women in that college age that really are taken out of everything that is, quote, normal. And so for us, it's been a lot of communication, a lot of them communicating with each other to make sure that each of them are taken care of.
I love that, and I'm sure those girls appreciate that. And Neil, I'll wrap this up with you. And I think for you in a position of leadership, as a black woman, you came down from a league that was really next to the WNBA and stood stride in terms of putting the intersection of all that was going on the forefront in the midst of sports. I'm sure that there's so many levels of this to you. You have a son who, represents black men in this country. How did you navigate it as a leader, both personally and for your team?
Yeah, well, I tried to, stay engaged with the team during the time of quarantine. Like Coach Hoover said, had a lot of speakers that came on, try to engage in conversation and dialogue I was having the same type of dialogue with my son, and so it was obviously really challenging for both pandemics, so racial civil unrest and also with the coronavirus. But I feel like, again, education and communication is what kind of got us through. And then being able to have them on campus, we did a couple, had events that were on campus to really focus on the social injustice of the world, and had a walk with the team. And that was really inspiring, just to see so many student athletes to come out, and also just to hear my team. I'm super proud of them, the way that they voice their opinions and use their platform for good, during that time. And just, again, like, this is the time that we chose to stand up and fight for what we believe in, and that's using our platform to be able to make sure that we're vocally expressing the injustices that are going on in the world. And I was just really inspired and impressed by my student athletes. And again, my son's the same way. Like, he, first-time voter was really important to me, and it's just really inspiring to be a mother, to see my son also fight for what's right and to use his voice. And so I felt the impact on both sides, as a coach and as a mother.
I know these are conversations that probably meant a lot to your student athletes and even their families as you continued to share some of those stories. When it comes to the COVID impact, Coach Hoover, I would imagine that a lot of your players, when they're approaching this season, have a new appreciation for not just every practice and every game, but every sprint and every early morning weightlifting. Have you kind of seen the mindset change, Coach Hoover?
Yeah, I think they've been really grateful to get out of their dorm rooms and come over to the gym, and they're in our offices nonstop. They're in the gym getting shots up. They're just thankful that they have the opportunity to play this game, and it probably gave us all a little bit of a wake-up call that it could be taken away in a heartbeat. And our kids right now, we approach it as our game plan is this, and we're going to have to make adjustments. There's going to be halftime adjustments, and we want to take it day by day, and we just got to be ready for whatever happens. Everyone has to stay ready, and our kids have done a great job doing that and really, really pouring their hearts into it, because it's something that they realize, they couldn't do it for so long.
I think it's so important that we continue to use our platform for social justice, but talk is one thing, action is another. Neil, I was so excited to see that you not only have an all-female staff, but you have 3 African-American women on it. So I'd love to see you taking that kind of action and being a leader in that way. But let's get back to basketball, because I want to know, we're talking about point guards tonight. We got Tiana Manakia from Syracuse coming back. I'm going to practice that one a little bit more. We've got Dana Evans. What's going to happen at the point for you this year?
Well, I think it's going to be point guard by committee initially. I think Dara brings a different level of expertise. She is a really great three-point shooter, but I'm going to rely on her to use her experience to also play the point. Anea Peoples, she's going to run the point for me. I'm really excited about one of my freshmen, Alasia Hayes, that has come in and looks really great. She's improving every day, so she's, my true traditional point guard. But I think initially you're going to see a lot of different people running the point. It's going to be point guard by committee, but also with the offense that I'm going to run, it's going to allow a lot of people to be able to initiate the offense. So I'm very excited about that. But again, Dara's going to help out a lot, especially with her experience of playing in the ACC.
Coach Hoover, I'm not going to give anything away for later in the show, but I'm very high on Ivana Ratza, and I love what she did in the ACC tournament last year. I think she's such a smooth player, and I imagine y'all are going to play a good bit through her. How has she improved? I know it's tough with the COVID offseason and things like that, but what has she added to her game that we can look for this season?
Well, Ivana is, I love her too. I can't believe she's going to be graduating this year, but Ivana has really worked on being even a more consistent outside shooter. She came in when she got here and needed to put on some strength and wanted to take on the physicality challenge, and I think she's done a great job in that respect. But she's really worked on developing being a consistent three-point shooter, and she wants to see that average go up and being a great passer. She's actually seeing things on the court now that I think before she didn't necessarily see. And then we're just trying to get her to continue to keep pushing herself, keep growing, stop getting, should we call her the fiery Serbian? She gets a little fiery when we don't call fouls in practice, and we're just trying to tell her, like, you can't worry about that. You just got to play. So, but she's a tough competitor, hates to lose.
I get a little nervous when I bring up games from last year with coaches and their teams played, but Coach White, I do want to talk to you about Deschanette and what you've seen from her. It feels like an eternity ago that we saw that game winner in the ACC tournament, but it wasn't that long ago. What do you like about how her game has improved?
Well, you know, so much of it is maturity. Her game is a much more mature game, and she's really figuring out how to play without the ball more. I think all last year was ball in her hand, and I think she's got a chance to be one of the most dynamic players in the ACC. But again, her ability to get rid of the ball to then get it back, and we've added help as our transfer of Jayla Everett, I really think will provide another punch on the perimeter that really allows her where she doesn't have to control the ball as much as she did last season, where now we've got that that 1-2 punch that'll be really a lot more exciting and fun for us.
Coaches, we are certainly looking forward to seeing you all on the sidelines and your players on the court back in action really soon. Thanks so much for the time and the insight.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
When we come back, it's time to play some games. Know your role. Monica and Kelly are ready. If not, Coach is going to coach them up. She's ready too. Plus, student athletes coming by in just a little while. Tiana Manakahia is already ready. We'll see what she has to say when we return. Welcome back to ACC Women's Basketball. We've got women's soccer championships for you Friday night starting at 5:30. It's a doubleheader. First, top-ranked Florida State and Duke, and then at 8 o'clock, North Carolina and Virginia. Both Florida State and North Carolina undefeated, so you do not want to miss that right here on ACC Network and, as always, streaming on the ESPN app. Teams are usually successful when they know their role, right? The players know what they're supposed to do. For instance, in this show, I am supposed to stop talking, tee you guys up, pass the ball, get as many assists as possible, and get out the way. So, Kelly, we're going to play a game called Know Your Role. And with that being said, I'm going to get out of the way. Who is your role player, Kelly, that you're taking a look at?
Well, Kels, you are a great point guard. Some have said I don't know how to pass. I'm a little bit of a chucker, so I will try to pass it to my coach and my teammate Inman. But my role player to watch, know your role, is Mikasa Robinson at Louisville. And my main concern, now look, I'm very high on Louisville, so I'm not concerned about much. But my main concern for them is defensively, right? They lost Jasmine Jones. They lost Kylie Shook. Obviously, Robinson playing the guard spot. She can't help out much with Shook defensively. But I think Robinson is someone that Jeff Walz trusts, that he's going to be able to put on the other team's best player, and she is going to be a defensive stopper for Louisville this season.
Boy, I have to say that know your role is the most important part of a championship team culture. If you don't know exactly what's expected of you, your team is not going to win. Not just you knowing your role, but everybody on the team knowing their role. And this was a tough one for me. There's a lot of really good glue players in the league, but I went with Crutchfield from NC State. I think she's somebody that can come up with a big play. I love her assist-to-turnover ratio. It's 2-to-1. She gets twice as many assists as she does turnovers. She can get the ball to Kunain inside. She knows her job. She's not going to take too many shots. She's going to have an opportunity now without Kunain to step up and maybe take some more threes. But she is somebody I think that really does know her role, and she is so important for NC State.
I actually had the privilege, let me get the family lineage right. Her great uncle was my high school basketball coach. She hails from the Washington, D.C. area. So her entire family is athletes. She had brothers that ran track. She's an incredible athlete. There's videos of her doing pull-ups and whatnot in the weight room. But I'm with Coach. And this year, will her role include sharing some point guard responsibilities more than they did last year with Koenig? But I think if she can hit timely baskets, last season she had one of her best games against a ranked Maryland squad where I think she went off for plus 25. I don't remember the points exactly. But if she can be aggressive and if she can get out and defend and be tasked with guarding the other team's best player in that man that NC State plays sometimes, I think that's really a big part of her role, and she can really do some damage for this squad.
To Coach's point, you know, she's exactly right. Obviously, she knows what it's like to win championships, but you have to have players that know exactly what you need from them, and they're not trying to do too much. And that's what I think Crutchfield did last year. She's obviously a capable scorer, but she didn't take a bunch of shots last year. She picked her spots, and she was a great weapon for them. So I think her role needs to expand a little more this year, but it's obvious that she already knows how to play her role perfectly.
So you all agree that Kai is going to be a big contributor there. Monica, who do you think is a role player that we need to keep an eye on?
So I'm going to Syracuse, that third-ranked team that is a little bit sneaky if you're not paying attention in the ACC preseason poll. And I'm looking at Digna Strautmane. She's last year took the most threes for this squad, was the best three-point shooter, but I need her to continue to do that. Kiera Lewis and Tiana Monacaya, we know what they bring at the point guard position. Tiana is a better shooter than Kiera. But when you think of what Syracuse is going to have in the post in terms of Cardoza, Maeva Jabdi-Taldi, and Emily Inkster when she goes and plays in the post, they're going to need someone that is going to consistently space the floor and be able to hit that long-range jump shot to create those attacking lanes for those guards or the post-up and the high-low action for the bigs.
Here's what's so scary about Syracuse, and you're exactly right, Mon. Look, they have Kiki Lewis, they have Tiana Monacahia, two quick guards who can both shoot it. But beyond that, it feels like every other person on their team is over 6 feet tall. They're going to have serious size with that zone, and Strautmane being able to expand the zone, right, expand the other team's zone, knock down threes. They're going to be at a point with Syracuse where pretty much everyone on the floor can hit the three, and that is modern basketball. I love it, and it's so hard to guard.
I like Syracuse, and you know they're going to play that 2-3 zone, and yet for some reason to beat that 2-3 zone, Jim Boeheim got it started for them, and they have taken over on the women's side. But you know what's going to be interesting to me this year? That Carrier Dome is going to be pretty empty without fans. If we are playing in some empty arenas, I wonder how that's going to impact the game.
Syracuse ranked number 3 in the ACC, but Kelly, you've got one more point. What you got?
Okay, Coach, speaking of the Carrier Dome, I played there once, and I just couldn't figure it out. The sight lines are terrible in that dome, and if you play there, it's your home court, you're more adjusted to it, but it's eerie if there's no one in there. I think in some ways, Coach, that could help help Syracuse and hurt their opponents because it's a huge dome, you're not used to it, and then if there's no one there, you've got echoes. It's just a weird place to play, so I think that's a good point.
Kelly, you and I are usually on the same page. We both once hit 8 threes in a game. I used to love going to the Carrier Dome back in the day. Oh, baby, them shots were going up and going down. Sight lines, we ain't worried about that.
Yeah.
Coach, what about you? Did you like playing there?
Well, you know, we are undefeated in the Dome, so I love going there. At least I think so. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. You know, whether it's fake news or not, let's go with that story.
I can tell you, I was in the Dome just a few weeks ago for a football game when it was empty. It is definitely a very different feel. When we come back, we'll see what some of these athletes think maybe about playing in the Dome, especially our ACC preseason player of the year. Dana Evans joins us next. We've got 6 others alongside her when we come back.
Escapes the shot. It's good with 2.7 seconds left.
Syracuse moving on for a date against the top team in the conference, the Louisville Cardinals. Dunham will take the 3. Raise both hands in the air, why don't you?
The stars of the ACC with us now: Taylor Soule, Dana Evans, Janelle Bailey, Anaya Peoples, Daishanette Harris, Tiana Monacaya, and Ivana Ratza. Ladies, thanks so much for being with us. We're going to have a little bit of fun. What we're going to do to start off is just play a little game. If it's a yes, you give me a thumbs up. If it's a no, you give me a thumbs down. If you've got a story, raise your hands. Let me know you want to talk, but just because you raise your hand doesn't mean that we're not going to get to you anyway. So that doesn't get you out of it. So the first question I have for you all is, I know everybody's really excited to be back on the court. Was there anybody that felt emotional, got a little emotional when you stepped back on the court with your teammates for the first time this year? Yes, no, all the way? No. Tiana, I saw you first. Tell me what that experience was like.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Just being with the girls, and obviously I was out all last season, so I don't know. There was a lot of emotions, actually.
Coach Q was telling us that there's some big expectations for this team, too. You've got a lot of freshmen that are really good. Who is it that's impressed you so far?
Camilla, 6'6", 6'7". She's impressed me a lot. She can literally catch everything and finish everything. So I'm really excited to see her this season and see how she goes.
Hey girls, Monica here. I'm not going to get in trouble for this, so I'm going to put it delicately. Raise your hand if you took time to learn a dance by any one of these pop stars. Meg Thee Stallion, Beyonce, or Cardi B. No TikTok dancers? Really? I can't believe this. Uh-oh, Taylor, I see that hand. All jokes aside, Taylor, you don't have to tell me the dance itself, but you obviously are coming into this year with a little bit of a target on your back considering last year's success. How have you been preparing?
Hello, first of all, thanks for having me. Just being confident throughout the off season, working on goals. First of all, I'm excited to be back with everybody, but just working on the little small things, whether it's footwork, mid-range jump shot, ball handling, just to be prepared for whatever the season throws at me.
Anaya, when I asked my question about the dances, you had both thumbs down. I know we're looking at Taylor right now, but I'm hoping we can go back to Anaya because she had both thumbs down, like she would never do such a thing. But I've seen so many videos coming out of the Notre Dame camp. You're healthy. How are you preparing to get back on the court this year?
Yes, I'm healthy. Finally, I'm so thankful just to be out there on the court again. We didn't know if we were going to have a season, and I was just so excited to be back in Notre Dame, being healthy, being under Coach Ivy, and I'm doing really well.
That's great to hear, Anaya. And hi, ladies. Kelly Gramlich here. And I want to ask, because we know in quarantine, everyone had to do something kind of crazy to stay in shape, to get shots up, that kind of thing. Who has a crazy story about what they did in order to stay in basketball shape over the quarantine? Anybody? Thumbs up?
Janelle.
Anybody? Nothing? So all of you guys just like hung out. You were good. You stayed in great shape without having to do anything crazy? Okay, let's ask this. Dana, let's talk. Okay. I saw that you were pushing a car at some point, so that seems a little crazy to me.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I definitely did. I was pushing some cars. It was really not much to do. So I just figured that's something that I can do to stay in shape and keep doing something.
I like it, Dana. Pushing cars is crazy to me, maybe not to some of you guys, so, that's where we differ. Dana, tell us about Haley. Haley comes in, highly touted point guard. You're a senior, she's a freshman. You guys are going to play a lot together. How have you gelled so far together?
It's really fun playing with her. She's competitive. And we both push each other. She's able to bring the ball up the court sometimes, and I'm able to play off the ball, which will help me a lot sometimes. And like I say, competing. We're very competitive, and we go at it in practice. And she helps me, and I help her.
I'm interested to know what your favorite part of the game is. And Tiana, I'm going to pick on you because you are one of my picks to be the player of the year along with Dana. So I'm looking at your game and I'm thinking you are just a fabulous passer. You have a double-double any night you want it, probably a triple-double at times. What's your absolute favorite part of the game?
My favorite part of the game would be, I would say, passing the ball. Like, I love getting a great assist, and just having the team that we have this year, it just looks like it's going to be an amazing season for us.
Janelle, I'm coming for you because your coach was talking about you yesterday. She said you've worked hard to get in fantastic shape. But when my girl Kelly asked about crazy workouts, you gave us a hard thumb down. So I want to know what you have done to be the new and improved Janelle Bailey coming back this season.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do any crazy workouts. I just worked out with our strength and conditioning coach at the time. I've lost about 25 pounds, and I kind of just committed to that. I know in just pro basketball, hopefully I want to be, a 4 and a 5. And so, I just committed myself to that during quarantine, made the decision, and just stuck with it. Went on the diet, and I've pretty much stuck with it ever since, and just kind of transformed my body. But I feel like I'm in the best shape I've been in since I've came to college. And yeah, I didn't do anything crazy though, just went out to the field.
Did you say that you lost 25 pounds, Janelle?
I have, yeah, I know. It took a long time.
Congratulations, that's fantastic.
Thank you, yeah, a lot of trial and error. But yeah, I committed to it, and I knew it'd probably be better in the long run, and just making me more agile and faster, moving up and down the court. So yeah.
All right, y'all. Janelle Bailey, the only person during quarantine to lose weight. So congrats, Janelle. That's awesome. Ivana Rasa, I'm coming for you next down there in Winston-Salem. And Ivana, I love watching you play, by the way. We were talking with Coach Hoover earlier. I'm doing some research on you. Both of your parents were professional basketball players. So did you have any choice? I mean, was it basketball just from the jump for you?
No, I actually did a dance and swimming and track and field. I did the high jump, but I was watching my dad coaching, so I just told my mom I kind of want to start playing basketball, and that was it. They didn't force me or anything like that.
That's, Ivana, it makes sense that you didn't really have a choice there after you started dance, which is good to know with the TikTok dances for sure. And I want to ask, too, just going into this season, Coach Hoover was talking about improving on your game. Give me a few things that you feel like you've really improved on.
I would say being consistent with my three-point shot. I'm looking to pass more good reads and stuff, and my body. I gain muscle, and I'm focusing on my nutrition.
Kelly and Monica are talking a lot about TikToks and dancing. I just want to know if we can do a group vote if anybody wants to see Kelly and Monica try and do some of these TikTok dances. Can I get anybody on board with me, please? Yes. Okay, good.
Y'all don't want to see that.
We'll work on that later. Monica, I knew would be in. Dejanette, I'm coming to you because a lot of people haven't had a lot of great moments in 2020, but for you, that moment in the tournament sticks out and that buzzer beater. Tell me, when you think back to that and you step back out on the court this year, is there a new appreciation for every moment that you get in the game now?
Yeah, definitely. Especially with COVID, it definitely puts more appreciation on the game. But yeah, back to the shot. It just gave me a realization. I came into college not afraid, but not playing myself. But it gave me that realization that I'm still playing basketball, which I feel like I was playing soccer. But it gave me that realization that I'm still actually playing basketball and that I can do the things that I know I'm capable of.
And Naya, you're coming off that injury. You missed 15 games last year. Coming into this season, Coach Ivy just told us that you may be playing some point guard. So how's that feel for you?
Yes, that is very exciting. I told her I'm here for whatever she needs me to do. So 1 through 5, I got her. So I'm excited to play the point guard. It gives Dare an option to be on the wing and knock down the threes. So whatever this team needs me to do, I'm there for.
Guys, we've had some really interesting conversations with your coaches. There's been so much on your plate, so I commend all of you for being able to stay focused, be good teammates, and have some really important conversations. But Dana, I want to go to you. Louisville, you guys were the center of attention nationally this summer, and not for a good reason. What was that like navigating? And for you, as the only senior on your squad, being a leader and working in tandem with Coach Walls to make sure that you guys were whole as a unit?
It was challenging, but we just stuck together as a team, as a staff, and we came together and just made sure that everybody was feeling okay. We talked to Vanessa. She helps with the mental state of the game, and she helped us come up with some things to do to keep our mind positive. And like for me, I pray a lot and talk to God, so that's what kind of helped me through everything.
It's awesome, Dana. And, you know, we got some really good stuff from your coaches on that as well. And same thing with Monica said. Look, I can't imagine being in college right now, so we appreciate what you guys are doing. And I want to bring it back to Taylor Soul over there at Boston College. Someone brought up soccer earlier. I don't know who it was, but Taylor, I know you used to play soccer. I want you to tell us a little more about your game on the pitch and why eventually you chose basketball.
Yeah, so growing up, I did play soccer for the majority of my life. And honestly, it was a good time. I liked soccer as much as I like basketball, and the reason for that is just a team-oriented sport. You have, 20 other sisters that you get to go and have fun with every day. At the end of the day, I chose basketball. Not really sure the reason, I guess. There was one day I was in soccer practice, and I was over there trying to ball handle a soccer ball like it was a basketball. And I guess then I was like, maybe I'm picking the wrong sport. But, yeah, soccer when I grew up, fun sport, though.
So I played soccer my whole life and played basketball once, and I knew that I was much better at soccer than I was basketball. So it kind of went the opposite way for me. I'm much better talking about it than I actually am with the hand-eye coordination. I'm wondering if any of you guys, you know, your coaches have probably told you all week with the preseason rankings coming out, have said, hey, this doesn't matter. What matters is when the season starts. But sometimes it gives you a little chip on your shoulder where your team is or if you're left off of a list. Anybody feel like they have a chip on their shoulder headed into the season? Dejanette, tell me about it. You were the first one.
We definitely didn't finish last season where we expected or where we felt like we deserved. But I feel like we come out with a much stronger mentality. We kind of know what to expect. Not everything, but we're more mature this year. So I feel like that chip on our shoulder is getting bigger as the days go on, and we'll be ready once the season starts.
I love to hear that, and I love to see all the hands shoot up because that means we're in for some competitive basketball this season. Ladies, thanks so much for joining us. Stay safe, and we're looking forward to seeing you all playing soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're not done here yet, but when we are, in about 15 minutes, ACC Operation Basketball takes center stage. Carlos Boozer and Luke Hancock will join me, and we've got a lot of coaches to get through today. All 15 between the first day yesterday and today. That's from 7 to 9 right here on the ACC Network. When we come back, we've got some predictions for you before we close things out. ACC women's basketball tip-off continues after this. ACC football taking center stage on Saturday. The Huddle guys will get you ready for the game starting at 10, and then at noon, it's a triple header right here on ACC Network. Wake Forest, North Carolina, the first game, then Louisville and Virginia. We'll wrap things up with our ACC Network primetime football game presented by Geico as Florida State goes on the road to take on NC State. Welcome back in, our ladies now. And before we wrap things up, we're going to play a little game called Fill in the Blank. And Monica, I'm looking at you first. Fill in the blank, the player to lead the ACC in scoring. We might as well go big, go bold, start it off, make all the predictions. If you're right, we can show this later. If you're wrong, we'll still show it later.
Okay, so I have two that were in the top scoring ranks for last season. The first one I thought about is Dejanette Harris because so much is going to be on her shoulders. But then you got to think, well, defenses are going to eyeball her. I'm going to go with, for my answer, for real, as Asia Shepherd from Virginia Tech. Last year, she shot 84 threes and averaged about 13 points a game, I believe, and was in that list. The only person that shot more threes than her was Dana Evans. And so Asia's a great three-point shooter, and she's going to have to score to help keep the Hokies in the winning column.
Well, I have to agree with that. She is pretty good. I was torn, honestly, because I hate leading scorer. I think if you have a good team that shares the ball, you don't really care who the leading scorer is. You want everybody on your team to have, 12 to 16 points a game. But I think there's some players that if they don't score, their team cannot win. And I've got to look at Ratza from Wake Forest. If she doesn't score a lot of points, they are just not going to be able to win. I think you could say the same thing for Dana Evans. There's a lot of pieces missing from last year's offense. She's going to have to do a lot of the scoring too, but I'm going to go with Ratza.
Coach, how did you know? Of course we picked the same person. I'm saying Ivana Ratza. She is smooth. I think she's going to average up there 18, 19 points per game, and Wake is going to rely on her. They're going to run that offense through her.
Coach, I know you're looking forward to getting to be in this chair this year and kind of see how things pan out with these teams. So is there right now a surprise team that you're looking forward to seeing this year?
Well, once again, I couldn't make a decision, and I really like North Carolina. I think they're a team that is just going to be completely different than they were last year. I also think Notre Dame's a team that's going to surprise people. They've got a lot of youth and inexperience, but they are going to get it together. So I think those two teams are going to vie possibly for that fourth spot.
This time, Kelly, I'm guessing the same answer as Coach. My turn to get it right and get a little apple. I also have North Carolina as my team. That could be a surprise. I just think that they look completely different. And Janelle lost 25 pounds. She means business.
I want y'all to know that Monica McNutt is my favorite person on the planet. That being said, my surprise team is the U. It's Miami. I think Miami is going to surprise y'all. They struggled last year because they didn't have Mom Premier, and they were so built around her. They didn't know how to bounce back without her. I love the guards. I think Roby and Jackson have gotten some key minutes, and Katie Meyer is too good to not finish in the upper half of the ACC.
We'll see who finishes in the upper half, but who's going to finish actually at the top of the ACC? Kelly, I'm coming to you. Who is your pick to win the ACC?
Kels, you know it's Louisville. Come on. I think Louisville is too talented with all those McDonald's All-Americans. Dana Evans with Haley Van Lith. They have good size. The Elizabeths are going to emerge for Louisville. I think it's the Cards.
You know, I think picking a team right now is navigating a minefield of injury, COVID protocols, quarantine, and see what happens. If everything remains as it is, I got to go with NC State. I think they are the most experienced team. And you know what? They got that confidence from winning the tournament last year. They're a team of destiny.
What color is my highlighter? What color is my little house on my shelf? I'm going with the Syracuse Orange as a dark horse. I think the size that Cordoza brings, I think that it's going to be something to deal with. Not only are you going to have size inside, guys, you've got two guards with tremendous experience, and I'm already getting nightmares thinking about how long and effective that zone is going to be.
Guys, we'll find out hopefully in a couple of months, but in a couple of weeks, we're going to get this thing started. November 25th is the first day of the regular season, but we've got more. We're not done yet. We're done for right now, but next week, if you want more women's basketball talk, you can have another full 2 hours of it. We're going to get you started on Friday at 7 p.m., so stay tuned for that. I know everyone's looking forward to hearing more of the three of you go back and forth. And, Coach, listen, you fit right in off the top. I don't know how you felt, but we so enjoyed the last 2 days with you.
Well, I'm really enjoying it, too. I'm going to learn a lot from these two, but you're not going to sway me. I'm going to stick with my picks.
Sometimes I would say
Coach,
maybe
if we're
don't
teaching
learn
you,
from
I
them.
think we have
What
a
do you
problem.
think, Kelly and Monica?
You can teach us, Coach. You can teach us.
Definitely willing to learn.
All right, well, we've had a great time here. As I mentioned, Operation Basketball is up next. Right now, we're going to give you a look at some of the best things you've seen from ACC women's basketball tip-off. One word to describe 2020. Asia, why don't you go first?
Hectic.
Hectic is a good one. Carol?
Different.
Morgan, how about you?
Exhausting.
Exhausting. I feel that one for sure. Another thing that we know is going to look good from your team is seeing Tiana back on the court. And we know what she means to this program after the battle that she went through last year. But what can we expect to see from her this year?
Much of the same. She's really good right now. She's playing hard. She's playing aggressive, and I think that's what I was most worried about. When she come back and still have confidence, and she's very confident in her game.
They have a chip on their shoulders. They're working really hard, and their goal is every day is to bring a phenomenal amount of energy and to get better every day.
Well, I got to say, I got a chip on my shoulder, and I'm not even there, but I'm going to be there.
I think Louisville is more talented than they are last year. And I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. I think they're going to start 5 McDonald's All-Americans. Van Lith, Evans, Balagoon, Cochran, and Dixon. You know what 5 McDonald's All-Americans means for Jeff Walz? That's a Happy Meal right there. I think they got more talented, which is crazy. Coach McGraw earlier mentioned the style that you have and, of course, your outfits and things of that nature. I have to know, and I've been wondering this. I know your first fit is going to be fire, there's no doubt, but how are the masks looking? I'm assuming you have some pretty awesome masks ready to roll.
Got to. We got to win. We got to do it right. So I'm gonna send Jeff 5. Let him try them out first and see how it works with those button ups, you know. And I'm gonna do the other 15 and see how it works.